All right. Well, let's dive in. We are on my first interview for Aloha. I just started as executive director back in July 1. Happy to have Bob Zimmer with us. When we talk about Aloha, the organization goes back about 27 years now, and Bob was a strong part of making that happen when he was with Wheatridge Ministries. But happy to have you with us today, Bob. Welcome.
To be here.
Yeah, and the focus today is going to be Bob's book called, right here, Lessons I Learned in Life. We posted about this on the Facebook page not too long ago, got a great response from it, so I just wanted to follow that up with an interview with the author. So Bob, start with a quick Reader's Digest version of your history, the Reader's Digest version of give us a sense of who you are and where you've been.
Well, I am a Canadian originally, attended Concordia Teachers College in River Forest, Illinois, back in 1952, and graduated, taught school, was principal of a school in Hyattsville, Maryland for, we were there 8 years, received a call to the mission field at Taiwan and served there for 9 years as education counselor for the China Evangelical Lutheran Church. And one of the big projects that I was involved in was the building of a high school that's called Concordia Middle School. Doing very well, has about 2,500 students today. Following that, upon our return, I joined the staff of Wheatridge Foundation at that time, and year later became president and served in Wheatridge for 18 years. And then accepted a call to be pastor of St. Armand's Key Lutheran Church in Sarasota. And was the senior pastor there for 9 years, retired, and now I'm just enjoying life.
Well, yeah, but still, my experience with you, still very active and involved, and we're glad that you're connected to Aloha, certainly, and all the other things you've done, so that's great. Now, talk to us about the book a little bit. What's the genesis in your head for your doing this book at all?
Well, I am very committed to the notion that people in their senior years, older adults, Christians, should be very focused in on passing on their faith and values to their children and grandchildren. There's probably no higher calling that they have than to do this. And as time went on and I thought about this, I decided, I ought to express some of those things on paper and share them with my children and grandchildren. And so I decided to do that and ended up with this book. In addition to that, for the last 8 years, every Monday morning I send an email to my children and grandchildren that includes some of passing on faith and values, and always includes some pictures that we've taken over the years of the family. So this has been a focus of mine, and I hope that others can maybe gain something from that and pick up on the idea.
Well, yeah, appreciate that. I want to say a couple words about the book and kind of format. The title is, again, Lessons I Learned in Life for My Grandchildren. This is available, by the way, through Aloha. I'll give you information about that later. But there's 38, I don't know if you call them chapters, Bob, or not, but there's sort of 38 focuses. And I like how you do it. There's a phrase, first one, life is not fair, and then in parentheses, fairness. So there's sort of a one-word focus after that sort of phrase introduction. The sooner you get to know yourself, the better. Number 2, focus, identity. 3, people change, they go through life. Word, growing. And that's your format throughout. There's sort of a phrase, and then this one word that's a value, or I don't know what you call them. But that's the format for the whole thing. And they're short, like a page and a half at most for each one, often one page. And so it's very simple to use. I'm starting to use it with our granddaughter. She just turned into 7th grade. I'm kind of searching for a way to make that happen. That's not like homework for her, Hopefully it's, we can do it in a way that's enjoyable. And I sense that the discussion I'll have with my granddaughter at 7th grade will be very different than I will have with her heading into college. And this would be another book we can revisit, down the road with her. I don't know, do you have a favorite chapter or two? Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Well, I like them all, but I see them as lessons, Mark,
yeah.
that I learned in life, and some of them a bit the hard way, and others not. One of the lessons that I learned that I think is interesting is that I learned from my Uncle Fred on the farm. And the lesson I learned from him was that almost any problem can be solved within 30 feet. And what that means, or how I came up with that, is Uncle Fred fixed his own machinery and repaired it himself, always in the same place in the farmyard. And he had all sorts of wires and screws and nuts and bolts and stuff there that he just didn't use. And so that when he did have a repair job to do, all he'd do is look around and find a piece that he needed to do the job. And so he said to us one day, just about any problem can be solved within 30 feet. And to me, that's a metaphor for solving problems of any kind. Most of the problems you and I face, Mark, we could solve within 30 feet. If it's a personnel problem, maybe we need to walk down the hall and talk to a fellow staff member. If it's a spouse, maybe we ought to look across the table and deal with that issue, or a son or a daughter, or pick up the telephone, or write a note. Just about any problem, not all, but most of them can be solved within 30 feet. And I think that's an important lesson that I learned. And I don't wait around. I think about, the problem and then figure out how do I deal with that.
Well, what I like about your book is that that's kind of the approach for all your chapters. Your chapters are not sort of ethereal and theoretical. Everything's something you've dealt with back in your life. You go back to your high school days and growing up. And so, that's a plus from my perspective. It's very grounded in your experience. We can relate to those experiences and apply them in our own way.
Another one, I could just lift up briefly is the one on self-discipline, the importance of self-discipline and routine. Today, it seems to me that so many of our children and young people need instant gratification. They want it and they want it now. And the lesson I learned in life is that delayed gratification is good, and that takes self-discipline. The other thing that people don't like is routine, and I find routine is an important lesson I learned in life. As a pastor, sometimes I even had to change candles because candles burn down. You need to get in a routine. Sundays come up every 7 days. You have to prepare a sermon. And a friend of mine who's a psychologist, Dr. David Walsh, I made a note to this. He is the executive director of the National Institute on Media and the Family. And David once told me that self-discipline is twice as strong in determining success as intelligence, and based on research. And so, I want my kids and my grandkids to know that self-discipline and routine are a good thing, and they're very important. And I learned that lesson, and I hope they do too.
Yeah, and I affirm David Walsh. He's got some great resources, and so it's a good connection. Just one thing I want to share about this is how to get this. It's available through Aloha, and that's ALOA. And so if you want to find the book, go to the website alohaserves.org, ALOAserves.org, and there's an email. If you want to go direct email, you'll get to Carol, who's our operations manager. That's Aloha4 numeral 4, U, letter U, ALOA, number 4, letter U, at gmail.com. And that's a way to get it. That supports ALOA's work. Bob's very generous in that regard. The book's great. Now, here's a question. The book has 38 chapters. My sense is you can get at this in whatever order, right, Bob? There's no
order. There's no order. No.
Just pick a topic, whatever looks interesting, and away you go.
Yeah, and if I could add one other thing about ALOA, I have been involved in ALOA since the beginning, and I just want to encourage anybody who is in the older adult age bracket. ALOA is a wonderful way for you to express your interest in growing the church, in expressing your faith, in being involved and helping others in your age group, and basically being involved in the church. I would encourage you to learn more about ALOA and find a way to get involved if you can.
Well, and I was going to say that as well. You're an example of ALOA's perspective. ALOA has 3 words around its logo: celebrate, equip, serve. And that celebrate word is saying, older adults have lots to offer, and you're an example of that all the way through. There's no sort of retirement from discipleship. We're called to be disciples all the way through, and that's our perspective. We want to encourage congregations to help their older adults see that as well, and the congregation as whole to see older adults as resources. So lots of work to do. I'm excited about being a part of ALOA. Happy that you had the vision to crank it up back in the day, and it's still, I think we're going to be stronger than ever. I'm looking forward to our board meeting in November. And now, anything else you want to say about the book? I just am thrilled that you've given us the time you have. Boy, check this book out for your own use. Find a way to use it with your children and grandchildren, and it's a great resource.
Well, great, and I hope they will, and nice being with you, Mark, and all the best to you too.
All right. Well, blessings again, Bob, and to all of you in the online world. Look for other things to come from us. We're going to post this on our Facebook page, and we will have other things hopefully down the line as well, with good resources for you. Hey, answer that and away we go. Blessings, Bob. Take care.
Thanks, Mark. Bye-bye.